Hey, what's up, YouTube? Red and Bordy here. Today, we're going to talk about the mage abilities in Ashes of Creation. They recently released a bunch of video footage of the animations, Bordy. So we're going to hop right in there and look at these. Now, we've already seen the clerics, so this is a second class, and they both seem to be the magical classes, Bordy, is what we're getting right off the jump. So, yeah, dude, let's hop right in here. Let's hop over to the screen, and here we go. So the first ability is Fireball, dude. So not a whole lot there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a instant damage spell, man. The Fireball, the animation looks really cool. I kind of like the hover, you know, the hover and then the cast. It looks pretty dope.
Now, I do like the animation. There's some heat going around on Reddit, if you can believe that, Bordy. Some negative connotations over there, saying that the mage is a little bit of a jumpy boy. He has to jump to cast all of his magic, which is, I mean, I guess a fair criticism. It's accurate. I mean, I
noticed that too.
So I
noticed that too whenever I was watching the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So he jumps for the Fireball. It is a direct damage spell. Nothing too flashy, but what you would expect from a mage. So Bordy, let's hop right into the next ability. And that ability is Lightning Bolt.
Oh, I thought that was my cue.
Never mind. It's another Fireball. Now, it's Lightning Bolt. All right, dude. So shoots a forward beam of lightning that damages enemies in a line in front of you. So this seems to be like a little bit of an AoE effect, Bordy, but in a straight line. So maybe you can zap through a couple enemies in one lightning bolt, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't say how many enemies either that's in that line. So I'd assume if you can line up as many enemies as you can in an exact straight line, you could just lightning them. I really enjoyed this animation. I think that out of all of them, this is probably my favorite animation because it's nothing over the top, but the lightning bolts that shoot out they're very detailed, and it looks like lightning. It's not like just a little goofy laser or something. It's actual lightning bolts. It looks really cool in my opinion. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, so and this kind of brings up a separate topic for a separate video. I wonder if there'll be an AoE cap on these abilities, because this is the first kind of AoE spell we've seen on the mage, and that's always like a big thing, I think, in MMOs, is if they cap, like, you know, because if we can line up 20 people, which is, I mean, with the range of that skill, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to, but unless you're testing something. But I wonder if they're going to do that, and that we can talk about that in a later video, but that'll be interesting to think about. All right, man. So the next ability we have is the Black Hole.
Yeah, man. So this is a pretty cool CC ability, dude. I don't know if it's a stun or a root or what. I would assume maybe a stun, because if you're floating in the air, I don't see how you could cast any abilities. And I'm speaking, I guess, specifically more towards PvP. If you're stuck in the black hole, if it's a stun, then obviously you can't do anything. You can't cast anything. If it's a root, you can still use abilities. You just can't move, right? So it looks more like a stun to me, but it's like an AoE CC, so it pulls in a lot of enemies as well. So again, I don't know what the cap on that is because it doesn't say, but it looks cool.
Yeah, and this is something I found interesting, Bordy, and I mean, you've talked a little bit about this, is the different schools of magic that the mage is casting, and how that will fit into the adaptations, or you know, using like the mage as a second class. It seems like, you know, if I remember correctly, the cleric also got 8 abilities released, and it seems to be that your ability bar is in that neighborhood too, with maybe give or take an ability, or maybe like a potion slot or an ultimate slot or something like that. So it's cool to see that the mage is not like your, you know, typical mage that you would see in an ability. It actually kind of branches out onto every school of magic, which we're going to kind of talk about a little bit later. All right, man. So the next ability we have is Drain Essence. And again, this falls into line with what we're talking about with the different schools of magic.
Yeah, Drain Essence is cool, man. I mean, you've seen this in a lot of other games where you can convert health to your mana for yourself. I think that's cool. I personally hate these abilities, though, to be honest with you. I don't enjoy trading one resource for the other, especially health for mana, but that's just because I don't like managing that stuff. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen this a lot. It's nothing really unique, I don't think, for an MMO. But you know, just a nice little utility spell to have.
So it's interesting because typically, like, it's a different take on like tapping is what it usually is for like mages. Usually mages have the the ability or some sort of ability, mages or warlocks or whatever you want to call it, that can tap into their own health and then convert that to mana. But in Ashes, it seems like the mage can actually tap into their opponent's health, which kind of lines up to more of the like a siphony warlock or like necromancer type of ability, which is pretty cool. Again, to see that the mage kind of fills all of these roles.
Oh, okay. So this is a you use it on an enemy and it converts their health into mana for you.
Yes, it says
not your health. It doesn't take away your health. I guess I looked at that wrong.
Right,
Okay,
drains your target.
That's way better.
Yeah, converting their health into mana for you.
Oh, okay. I read that wrong. Yeah, that's way better. That's way better.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I know you're saying like almost every game has some way for some sort of caster to convert health into mana, but this is a unique take on that at the least.
I mean, it's a little bit different. I think we've seen this a lot too, like you said, with warlock classes or something. So, I mean, it's fine. I think it's cool to have it in the kit. It'll be interesting to see like how these things convert over into other abilities as you spec into a different archetype, though.
Yes, that is I think the very intriguing part that we'll see as they release more and more information. All right, so the next ability is
Blink.
What
does that mean?
Now this is a very no. I mean, it doesn't matter. I was delaying for effect, but yeah.
Oh, I ruined it.
Nah, you didn't, because it's nothing new. Kind of like what you said about the Drain Essence thing. The mage has Blink. Yeah, we knew that, right?
I mean, here's my qualm with Blink, which it is with them for a lot of these abilities, right? Blink is too much, man. The animation on Blink is really cool, and I could see that being really awesome in a single player game. But for an MMO, man, it's way too much, dude. Think about a 40-man raid or a big siege, and you have multiple mages blinking all over the map. Not only blinking all over the map, but you have 3 mages blinking, and then you have 2 mages casting black holes somewhere. It's too much, man. The Blink ability, the animation for Blink is way too over the top, dude. Just give me now. Again, it looks dope, dude. Don't give me. It looks amazing, but for an MMO setting, I worry, man. This is supposed to be a massive thing with multiple people, engaging in fights at the same time. It's too much. I think they're gonna have to end up toning it down some, for a lot of these abilities, actually.
Yeah. I don't know why. I thought it's just funny because you sound like an old get off my lawn type of person when you complain about there's too much. All right,
it's too much, man.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, there are some ways that games kind of like prevent you from seeing all the particles from other people's spells that kind of greatly improve performance and everything like that. So we'll see. I mean, time will tell, I guess. But yes, Blink is Blink. And again, we'll talk a little bit about this at the end of the video, but this is one of those abilities that we have seen morph other abilities, on other classes. So the warrior, the example that Steven uses a lot is the warrior, and the close gap mechanic that they have, the rush, and so then if you're a mage or you pick mage as your second class, now you will blink to your target. So this is kind of an interesting thing to think about, because will they have basically an altercation for each of the warriors? If you're a warrior, would you have a way to alter your skill in each of these different abilities, the 8 different abilities?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so, right?
Yeah, that's what I think will end up happening. Yeah, which I can't wait to see what all those are, because that's whenever all of these like kind of normal, run of the mill abilities that we see here are going to transform into something that maybe we've never seen before, which is exciting to think about, because all these abilities we see here it's nothing we've never seen in other games, right? But I think whenever you get your other archetypes and you start meshing those together, I think we could get some really unique, really cool, out of the box type of abilities going on, and that's where it gets exciting. Yeah, I think so too. All right, so the next ability that we're going to look at is Lava Storm, and this is kind of a cool little shamanistic ability, or AoE fire. So basically what this does is creates a little bit of a fire AoE that seems to create a field of lava at the select location, deals additional damage in the center. Ability deals area damage around the caster upon cast. So that's a little bit interesting, Bordy. I think the devil's in the details here, because this is the Lava Storm mechanic where it actually deals damage around you before it deals damage to your AoE is pretty intriguing, man.
Yeah, I seen that as well, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was a nice touch on the ability. I think everything else is pretty much standard for an AoE ability, I think, but that was pretty cool. I read that as well.
Yeah, it seems to be a standing effect. Basically, will stay there, it seems, for a few seconds and deal damage like over time. So maybe ticks or whatever. I doubt you would, it seems like it erupts on a timed basis. So we'll see if you can increase the frequency of that or whatever, how you can mutate that. So let's get through the last two, and then we'll start breaking these down. The second to last one is your Meteor Storm, Bordy. Now this is like literally in every MMO mage ability that allows you to cast meteors up in the air and I assume do a targeted AoE type of ability. So Bordy, what do you think about the Meteor Storm?
Look, dude, it looks really cool. The 3 meteors dropping. I have the same concern I've had with every other ability here, though, is just the animations could be a little much. That's it. They look so cool too, man. And I'm not knocking it. I really worry about how there's so much, man. Like whenever in my mind, every time I see one of those, I think, man, if that's 40 people out there doing all of these abilities and each class has some similar animation, which we've seen already in like the cleric, they're a little over the top too. So it's like, man, I just picture it being mass chaos, and I just picture this firework explosion of abilities on my screen, and I'm not even gonna be able to see what's going on. So I think that they've got to know that, and they'll figure out a way around it. But until then, I'm just gonna keep bringing it up.
Yeah, well, the alpha is a good time to figure that out, right? Especially, when they start getting more and more people into that testing in the alpha 2 phase. We'll know quickly if those particles are going to cause problems for sure. So last but not least, dude, because I think this is probably the most interesting ability that the mage has, is Prismatic Beam. So Prismatic Beam spawns a gigantic prismatic beam of energy that can be aimed around you. Deals large damage to enemy targets. So this is basically your your typical, I guess not typical. This is like found in a lot in Diablo 3. The mage has it in there. It's just like a beam or an AoE that is kind of like the lightning bolt, but it is persistent. So you will deal, I assume, damage over time, and you can move it as the fight goes. So it's nice to see not a tab targeted ability, right? This is something that it seems to be whatever you want to call it. It's just a character aimed or high skill cap, because you do have to keep the beam on your target.
Yeah, it appears to be that way, and it's pretty cool because I like it's a little bit of CC too. Some soft CC kind of slows your target, and then it looks really cool. And this one was an interesting one for me too. It seems like it's gonna, maybe a channeling ability that lasts a certain amount of time or something, or maybe you can just cast it until your mana runs out.
Yeah,
and just hold it.
That probably, yeah. Both of those seem really realistic. And again, it's just interesting. Prismatic, it doesn't seem like there's any sort of like traditional school of magic that we're used to. Maybe arcane, possibly something in that vein. But again, you start thinking about these abilities, Bordy, and the different flavors, the different texts that they have, and how they're going to mesh with other classes like rangers or warriors or clerics or even double mage. Is that going to be able to be, is that ability, the Prismatic Beam, going to be able to have a Drain Essence flavor to it if you do mage on mage? So that's kind of what we want to talk about a little bit about before we close here. A lot of these spells touch in different types of magic that we're used to seeing in MMOs, of course. But what will these subtypes start to look like, Bordy, when you think about if, and again, this seems to be the case as far as these are just 1 to 10 skills. They've mentioned that in both the cleric and the mage abilities, so we don't know if there's more that you unlock as you progress. But if this is it, man, if each class gets 8 abilities that you can then morph with the 8 abilities of your subclass that you choose, that's a massive amount of spells for one class. That's 64, right? You have 64 alternative skills that you would be able to use based on your subclass choices.
Yeah, I guess potentially you could. In terms of what those would kind of look like, I don't know, man. I think that they would eventually become more focused on one school of magic would be my assumption. If you're a mage and then you spec into a different archetype, I would assume that it kind of guides you into a specific tree, right? That would make sense to me. Yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because, like, you know, again, it does seem like, or it could be to the point where, you know, if I have a charge ability as a warrior, I'm going to get to choose, and they've mentioned this before, I'm going to get to choose maybe 3 of these different effects of my subclass, which would be the mage at this point. So I could have a charge that causes burn, I could blink to them and cause, burn over time damage. I could blink to them and maybe cause a black hole to suck all the enemies around that enemy that I charged to my location. Or I can focus on one of these, mutations or abilities and just make it like really, really powerful. So maybe like the blink, you do get the blink from like literally like 100 meters away to your target, or so on and so forth. It seems to be that is the case. Maybe you can only choose a couple for each, warrior ability, but who knows, man? Time will tell. And again, I think that'll be a massive part, like you said, of the depth or the uniqueness of the skills when it comes to your personal character. When you think about, the potential like 64 subclasses that are in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that they end up going a little bit deeper with the archetypes and changing these abilities, and they don't just like add on, like for the blink, for example, it's just a blink right now, but then if you go into mage, adds a plus a blink and does damage or something like that. I hope it's a little bit more creative than that. Same with like the lightning bolt. Like, okay, it's a lightning bolt. It goes in front of you, hits multiple enemies in a line. But if you're mage, maybe it's a lightning bolt, and then you do 2 different types of damage or something. Like, I hope it's further. I hope it's more than that.
Or it becomes like a flamethrower or something like that.
Like it completely transforms the ability into something really cool. Instead of just adds, one extra buff to it or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And it'll be really interesting to see how they execute this for sure. So we got 2 classes. Hopefully we'll get to see some more as alpha progresses, from alpha 1 to alpha 2. Hopefully they'll keep releasing these abilities. I really appreciate their transparency through this process, and it'll be interesting to see, more and more, dude, because I think me and you are both kind of fixated, and we're going to make a video about this later about what subclasses we are looking into and kind of what those will look like. And so it'd be cool to see, the rest of the classes' abilities and kind of hopefully be able to theory craft what those are going to look like. All right, man. Well, if you guys, obviously you just watched the whole video on Ashes of Creation. So if you're interested in Ashes of Creation, you should check out our podcast, Ashes to Go, which we have on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube. The VODs are here on the channel. So go check those out. Don't forget that the subscription button, the notification bell for more Ashes of Creation content like this. Bordy, it's been a pleasure, man. Always fun to talk about Ashes. And we'll see you guys in the next video.